Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very long episode of The Reviews.
We haven't done one of these in a while, so we thought we'd catch up on ourselves and review all the tracks that have been sent to us since about March time.
Yeah, like we've got a folder, I think, of like 24 songs now, so we're going to do 10 songs this episode, and in theory, in a few weeks, we will be doing another long episode where we do another 10. Then we should be properly caught up. If you do want to submit a song for this series, send it to that email.
Okay, so the first track that we're going to review today is by Aaron Cottam, and it's called Stay. That was a pretty nice song.
Yep, it's worth noting that Aaron Cottam has submitted something before. He submitted a song called Anchor, I believe. It was in 5/4 before. This one's now in 9/4. So weird time signatures, and I believe the only instrumental track that we're going to do today.
That was pretty good as far as I was concerned. I really like all the different synths that you have. I really like the bass synth, especially. I think that sounds really cool. I think there isn't really much that I can complain about with that song. It evolves nicely, everything is nicely spaced, it doesn't feel too long. Around the midpoint, it starts to get a little bit repetitive, so maybe you could, I don't know, add an extra melody in there or something, but as far as the song goes as it is, it's pretty much fine. That's just a stylistic choice that I would take.
The only, I guess, criticism that I've got is the kind of style that you're going for with the sound and the kind of spaciousness and everything. It feels quite cinematic. It feels like it's something made for a film or like a short film or just something as kind of background music that really emotes towards the scene that it's in, kind of thing. Which is great. That's a really good thing to be writing for. But I feel as though 9/4 as a time signature isn't the best time signature to be in for writing that kind of music. So it's kind of like a, I guess, a catch-22 of, it's really cool that you're writing in 9/4 and you've made it work, and it doesn't feel really like, oh, that just sounds wrong. You've actually made 9/4 work, but the style of music that you're actually doing will probably benefit from being in a more traditional time signature. So I don't know whether it would be best to just stick to 4/4 or whatever, because I like the idea that you're doing weird time signatures. I believe you're the only person to submit anything with a weird time signature to this series, so thank you very much for that, for actually being a little bit weird. But it's worth thinking about that maybe it is, for what it sounds like you're going for, maybe not the best choice. Either way, fucking mint track. Bravo. The next track is by an artist called Hotels, and it's called Without You.
Fading away into nothing, the skin and time. You fade away, and I just can't make it without you. I just can't take it without you.
I believe I downloaded this from Bandcamp. It's encoded and everything with all like the artist data and all that kind of stuff, and everything is in lowercase. There are no capitals anywhere. I don't know whether that's a stylistic choice, like you actually want everything to be lowercase or not, but personally I don't like it, because when it's in a folder full of all different music like what I've currently got, it stands out and looks like it's been written without care, like you've just kind of written it without capitals.
You mentioned that it was like your mom had named a file.
Yeah, like that's kind of how it reminds me, is that it's not been thought about as a stylistic choice. It feels as though it's just a little bit lazy. Maybe it's a stylistic choice. I don't know. Also, without is one word, not two words. Sorry. The only really criticism that I have, because I like the track, I like the kind of whale song kind of synths that you've got going on in the background. I think they sound really cool, and it really adds to the kind of minimal instrument kind of thing that you're going for. My main criticism is that the dynamic range of the entire track is far too large. the verses are quiet and subtle, to the point where I had to turn it up a little bit. And then when the chorus hits in, it's as if you've just turned everything up, and then it's like, fucking hell, it's far too loud.
Yeah, it is almost like you've just took the master track and automated the choruses to be louder because you wanted more impact, but turning things up isn't always the way to get the best impact.
Yeah, like, dynamic range is good. It's arguably, in my eyes, I'd rather have a little bit more dynamic range than brick wall in it. Like, I like dynamic range, but I think this is a bit too much for the fact that I feel like in the verses I need to turn the song up and in the choruses I need to turn the song down. I shouldn't have to do that. That should be part of the master. I don't know whether the track is mastered. A limiter would sort that out, provided that you crank it a little bit, but it feels like you are just automating the volume throughout the entire track. I would not do that.
If you haven't done that, then say if this was just like a live recording that you've done in your bedroom or whatever, I would really recommend that you either change how you play the song so it's all the same volume, or just compress your vocals at least so it's all a similar volume so it can actually be listened to cohesively instead of like tapping your volume buttons all the time. But other than that, I mean, yeah, it was a pretty nice song. I really liked the high sounds that were going on in the background, like Lenny said, the whale song-esque sounding stuff that was going on. I wasn't really a fan of, there was a part in it where you added like a radio distortion effect to your voice. I thought it sounded good, but it was just a little bit misplaced and took away from the feel of the song. But other than that, yeah, pretty sound.
Yep.
The next song that we are going to review is called Sleep by Connor Davis.
Do I walk in my sleep? Tell me. Do I need somebody? I just need my sleep. But don't wake me up. It's dangerous. It's dangerous.
It's worth saying again, Connor Davis has sent us music before.
Yeah, we're getting regulars now, aren't we?
Yeah, we've got like regulars on the show. We're on episode 12, I believe this is. 12. That's quite a lot.
As always, Connor Davis, very nice song, really well put together. Sounds great. You have a really nice style that you use, like the really, not minimalist, but kind of like subtle,
I think
atmospheric
subtle is
synth.
the right
Yeah.
word, yeah.
Yeah, I really like the drum sound that you have going on. They sound like that you've recorded them miles away, and they just sound really distant. And yeah, I like that. I do think it takes a little while for it to kick in. Maybe the verses are just a little bit too long, or like the pre-chorusy section that you have could be cut down a little bit. But when it kicks in, yeah, pretty good. However, when it dies down again from like the first upbeat section, it starts to feel like, right, this is kind of needs to be moving along a little bit quicker now. Maybe to help with that and like make it feel a little bit more textured or whatever, you could add some of the synths that are in like the instrumental upbeat section to the verses, which might help even the song out more a little bit.
The instrumental section that comes in around 1 minute 20, really like. I just like that entire section. I think it's really cool. Could be a little bit long. I think we've got a problem with a few songs today in this episode, that there are some instrumental sections that feel like they're like double the length that they need to be. A lot of the time, because there aren't vocals going on and there aren't lyrics that need to be listened to, you can get away with actually having the instrumental sections shorter than you maybe feel that they need to be, just because they are just the same thing repeated 4 times or 8 times or 12 times or 16 times. I do feel like that instrumental section is a little bit long. I think I said this last time when you submitted music, but the vocals, I really like the style of the vocals. It's kind of 1975-esque, but you've kind of got this, I don't know, it just sounds cool, like with your harmonies and stuff that you do, I think, towards the end of the song. Really, really good. Really, really like it. My only criticism is in terms of it being a song, because it's like instrumental verse, I believe, and it's good. Like, all those sections, really, really good. But I feel like it needs a chorus to really have that rememberable bit that the casual listener or whatever will remember and latch onto, because it doesn't have that overly kind of catchy bit that maybe the song could do with. So say you were going to apply to radio with this track, I would definitely recommend having a chorus in it, because it needs that little catchy section that, I don't know, whatever. It's a good song, and I personally would have put a chorus in it, but it's up to you. The next track is by Joe Myers, and it's More Than I've Wanted.
It's 'cause they did apart, and I can't control the way my mind works. These things in my head, will they ever fade?
It's a good track. Do feel as though it's a little bit long, especially because the track doesn't evolve maybe as much as it could do. I think before the last verse you have a bit of an instrumental section that is kind of serves as a bridge. I feel as though that could evolve more than it currently does. Whether it needs to get bigger or what, I don't know. I just feel like the song feels quite long because it doesn't evolve. Other than that, the entire like song, lyrics, everything sounds good. I like it. I would, in the mix, maybe pull the vocals down a little bit because it's quite hard to kind of hear everything that's going on because the vocals sit so high on everything. And also maybe bring the drums up because it's quite actually hard to hear the drums at certain points. And really in tracks you can get away with having drums louder than they need to be because naturally you're listening to the melodic instruments anyway. So I would definitely pull the drums up.
The only criticism I have about the song is it's a pleasant enough song, yeah, it's a nice sound, it's relaxing, etc. But it feels like it drags quite a lot and it is pretty predictable. A lot of the rhymes lyrically in this song are very predictable. Like I think
they're like the obvious rhymes, aren't they? It's
yeah.
like if you pick a word and then pick the obvious rhyme to go with it, that is the one that you've used.
Yeah, it's like you've picked your word and then you've gone on Word Hippo and then you've just searched rhymes and the very first one you've picked and yeah, I can have that. Which means yeah, it works for a really like simple song. But if you're wanting to kind of have a bit more deeper meaning to your lyrics in your song, then I would suggest maybe experimenting with weirder words, but not pretentious weirder words, just words that mean a little bit more rather than just rhyming while with smile, because that is a bit...
It's the easiest thing to do, isn't
Yeah.
it? And maybe a casual listener wouldn't notice that and they wouldn't be like, oh, that's a really generic rhyme. But like, we listen to music all the time, so that kind of thing sticks out like a sore thumb because it's this. We've probably heard that rhyme at least 5 times in songs over the past year. So it's not to say that that's a definitely don't do it, but it's just worth noticing that it feels somewhat cliche, even if what you're saying is what you actually mean, kind of thing.
The next song that we're going to review is called Sergey by Grafted.
Not to lose control when my mind's about to blow. Whoa. These voices in my head, they just repeat all that I know. I know you've come and gone, and it won't take too long. I've gotta get you out my head, I've gotta get you out my head. Now I'm on my own. Now I'm in my...
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty decent song. There's not really much that I can again complain about apart from maybe the solo section I wouldn't have had, and would have maybe replaced that with like a bridge or an outro because it ends after the solo. And well, first of all, I don't know about you, but I'm not a fan of solos in general. I don't think they really add anything to music anymore. I think they've been overdone. So yeah, I would replace that with like a bridge or an outro or whatever, or just add vocals to that part maybe. I don't know. The other thing that I would change about that song is that the vocals and the guitar in the chorus do the exact same melody, and I really don't like that. I would change the melody of the guitar. The vocals doing that melody, yeah, it's fine, it's a nice melody, it works with the chorus, etc., but having the vocals and the guitar do it negates the point of both. Like, there's no point having a lead guitar doing the same melody as what the vocals are doing, and there's no point having your lead vocals just follow the guitar because it sounds like they're both following each other, and I just think it's a bit boring. I think pretty much anyone can do better than that. Like, we've written that into songs a few times and we've always thought, nah, we can do a little bit better than that.
They would be better served doing different things.
Yeah. However, I really like your clean guitar sound, and I really like the harmonies that you've got going on. I think you have the basis for a really, really, really good sound.
I like the intro, kind of like the flow they've got going, like where you have the guitar that kind of gradually comes in and then it goes into a not fully in version of the riff, and then you kick in with the riff. That's really cool. Like that entire little section. Normally I'd say like, oh, that could be split into like 3 different parts, and that's maybe too much, but I think the way that you did it, it works perfectly well. My only criticism of that thing is that when the riff kicks in properly and you're properly in big, that feels like it goes on for twice as long as it needs to do, just like I was on about earlier. As an instrumental section, that could do with being half what it currently is. To echo what Joe said, not a massive fan of the chorus, vocal, guitar thing going against each other. I would recommend maybe keeping the vocal as is and changing the guitar so that it's totally different. Maybe something that's ringing out a little bit more, or just anything, just something that's doing a completely different melody to what the vocals are doing. Yeah, that's it. That's not much criticism because it's a good song. I think generally we miss off the bits that we like but we don't love, because obviously if we love a section we'll be like, oh, I really love this. If we don't mention something, that probably means that we like it, just as a little thing. So if we just do like 3 bits of criticism and that's all that we say, that's because we like everything else. Okay, before we start with this one, a little bit of a talk about kind of how you probably should be submitting songs, because imagine we and this little show series that we've got going on is like a radio show, for example. You want to be submitting your songs in the best manner possible because this goes out to potentially a decent amount of people. Obviously we can't predict how many views each episode gets, but it's between 500 views and 1,000 views within a week. So we're getting more views than like a community radio station on average would get. When you submit a song, make sure that it's like called the same thing as what the artwork says, because this next track is, according to the artwork, is The Flowers Are Dying by Harry Quinn. However, the file itself is called Lander, My Song 11. I'm gonna, for the preview, call it Harry Quinn, The Flowers Are Dying, because that's what the artwork says, but that isn't what the file says at all. If, for example, a radio station got this track, they probably just wouldn't play it because it looks like you haven't even got a name yet because you've named it too different. It's just a bit sloppy and don't do it. Cool. Here is Harry Quinn with The Flowers Are Dying. On the whole of this entire track, I really kind of like what you're going for. You've kind of got the punk thing with, I guess, a lo-fi garage-esque vibe. Like, you've got the vocals specifically turned down a lot, and you said in the email that you specifically tried to get the vocals a little bit sloppy and a little bit thing. So you are going for like kind of like a garage punk rock kind of thing. I like that quite a lot. Right at the very beginning of the song, you've got a guitar track that's like playing shit that's totally just off and wrong, and I get that you're doing that on purpose, but that is far too loud. It's like the loudest thing in the entire song. That could actually be the quietest thing in the entire song and would still serve the purpose that you're going for. Like having that really lo-fi, ooh, I'm playing stuff wrong, but it's kind of on purpose. You can get away with that and having it a lot quieter than you currently do, because it feels kind of hard to listen to with it being as loud as it is.
Yeah, like, I remember you were listening to it over there, and you just like played the first 2 seconds of the song, and I was like, what the fuck's going on over there?
Yeah. Rather than having it as a quiet section where everything else is kind of not overpowering it, but definitely louder than it, so that it feels like it's supposed to be there, rather than it's just someone playing something wrong. My other criticism, and it's probably more of just a criticism of the genre as a whole, but the chord progressions that you're using feel quite uninspiring. Like, I've heard all of those before a lot, and it's not overly emotive, I don't think, in the chord progression. No. Like, when you play chord, like the 4 chords so that you play, I don't feel anything because of them. They don't feel as though they're doing anything other than just existing, kind of thing. I guess it's kind of like an abstract way of looking at chords and stuff. Yeah, it's kind of hard to talk about without it just seeming like I'm just going, oh, that chord progression's shit, but like, it's not what I mean. What I just mean is that the chord choice seems somewhat obvious, I think, and it's something that I feel like I've heard many times before. Other than that, I kind of like the entire like vibes of the track and what you're going for. So
yeah, I kind of like the entire like the feel of the track you're going for. Like, you're doing the vocals sloppily on purpose. But I do have 3 criticisms of the song, and one of them is probably not a criticism of the song; it's a criticism of the mix. Is I can't hear the bass. I don't know if it's just me, but I really couldn't pick out what the bass was doing. I mean, that's probably because either the bass was playing the same as the guitar, or it was just turned down in the mix. But I would recommend you turn it up. I know, one of these 3 criticisms isn't a criticism, it's the thing I like, actually. I like the bit in the middle where you put like a really dirty, crunchy guitar tone on, you do like a bit of a like a bit of a driving riff section. I really like that. However, it did get a bit sloppy towards the end, and I feel it's unintentionally sloppy. Like, I get you were going for the whole lackadaisical punk thing, but towards the end, it just kind of goes out of time a little bit. The next track we're going to review is called Day by Day by Home Media.
I've been up in the sky. My heads and thoughts get all hazy, and I don't even know why. The signs just don't even faze me. Just don't try and control it. It's not the plan that you roll with.
I think this is the only track that's been submitted today that actually fits with the weather, like the summer and the thing. Like,
What, you mean the clouds and the wind?
No, but like for them it might be sunny wherever they are, because chances are you're in America, which means it's sunny all the time anyway.
To start with this song, I think the main riff that you have is really repetitive. Like, it doesn't really change the melody, it's just note, 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 note. It doesn't really have any kind of swing or emotion to it, and it's just... I think it plays too much and it lasts too long when it plays, in my opinion. The vocals sound like they've been written for like a dance track. Maybe it sounds like you've written a dance song, stole the vocals and put it on like this indie summary song. And that might just be me, but it sounds a little bit weird to me. I mean, if that's the stylistic choice that you're going for, then fair enough. I think the chorus has very little impact. I think the chorus would be better served either having a better hook on it or used more as like a prelude to the riff, where the riff becomes like the main section of the song. I think that would work a hell of a lot better. The intro is really nice. I really like the clean guitar thing that you've got. I think that's really cool. After the second chorus, I don't think the riff should play there, because, I don't know, when the song was flowing and I heard it there, I was just like, no, that shouldn't be there. It just didn't feel right. It didn't feel like it flowed into it properly. I liked the ending where you added the other guitar in to do like the harmony of the riff. I think that worked quite well. I only liked the first bit where I believe you were doing major thirds, or just thirds. And then when you moved on to the second section where it went higher, maybe you were doing fifths, I didn't like that. I think you should have stayed with the first kind of harmony thing that you were going for. I think that worked much better.
I didn't write in this order, but I'll stick on that section that Joe was just talking about. I didn't particularly like that harmony guitar thing like at all. I wouldn't put it in at all, but obviously opinion's gonna differ, so yeah, I'm not a massive fan of that. I really like the summary kind of vibes that you've got going on, because there are a lot of bands that don't really do that anymore. Like, there aren't many overly summary kind of bands. Like indie 10 years ago or whatever kind of sounded summary all the time. I think indie nowadays is not summary at all, so there aren't many genres, like especially in the mainstream, that feel summary. You've made it feel summary, and it's, I don't know, I just dig it. Good. I do really, really, really like the main riff. As Joe said, a little bit repetitive as to how much it's played, but I think the riff that you've got is really, really cool. Don't really have any other criticism other than that. I think it's a good song, and
To be fair, I think I had enough criticism, to be honest.
yeah, you said too much.
Yeah, maybe.
So, good track. Send us more stuff if you do it. The next track is by a band called Dude Trips, and it's called Tampa Bay.
Lay your head down on my chest. We'll close our eyes and fall asleep soon. And I'm history. Convinced myself that we were meant to be. You said you turned 21 and not a day older. I'd buy a ring and we'd turn the page over. Plan to leave for the USA.
That was really good. I'm going to take this little 20-second segment to just say I really like music with accents. Like, there are certain types of music that I will specifically like just because of the accent. Like, Courtney Barnett is an artist that I really like just because of her accent. I think if it was sung by someone with an American accent, I probably wouldn't like the artist as much. This is a kind of one of those things, because
yeah, I'm glad that you didn't try to suppress your accent either. Like, a lot of people either try and put on, some people either try to put on a really strong American accent or a really strong British accent, and I'm glad you didn't. I'm glad that you've kept your Scottish accent, and it sounds really good because of it.
Yeah. On the whole, I just want to say that I really, really like the track. I like what you're going for. I like that you spend an entire minute doing the kind of died down beginning bit before coming in with like the properly strummed bit. I think that works really well. I think it sets up the kind of premise of the track. It's worth noting that this is the last track on these guys' EP. They are a full like drums, bass, guitar band, but this track is just like 2 vocals and guitar. just thought I'd give that context to everybody watching. I like what you've kind of set up. I do wish that you'd have brought in the full band. Not right away. I like that you did the minute section and then you did what I presume would you class as a chorus with the properly strummed thing and then the 2 vocals, and then you dive back down to like what a verse would be. Then when you kick in for the second time, I presume that'll be after 2 minutes or so, I feel like that's where the full band should have kicked in. Like, you kept it kind of low and then you built it up a little bit, then you dialed it back down. Then I feel like when you built up the next time, you should have built up even higher than you did before. So like bringing in drums and bass and that kind of thing. That's what I would have done. I think it'd have sounded even more impactful because the first time it kind of takes you by surprise of, oh, they're actually in now and doing it proper. When it happens the second time, you're expecting it. So maybe throw them off again by adding something else in even bigger. It felt like, I think it was in the second verse when you were doing the kind of guitar stabs. It felt like some of them weren't overly in time. I don't know because there was no rhythm section or anything. It was hard to tell whether is it the vocals that were a little bit sloppy or is it the guitars that were a little bit sloppy. I don't know, but there were certain things that maybe felt as though they weren't as in time as they could be. Although I don't know, I haven't tested it against like a click. Other than that, there is a few times where on your plosives, which are the p's and b's of your vocals, there are a few mic pops because as air gets pushed through your mouth and stuff, it like makes mics pop. Generally, the filter thing that looks like fucking tights sorts that out. I don't know whether you use one of those, but there were some pops from the vocals on your plosives. So there's not a great deal I think that you can do to get rid of those after you've recorded them. So just be aware of that when you're recording next time. Maybe use a mic filter if you didn't last time.
Okay, first of all, I really like the atmospheric guitar sound that you have going on. We've had a lot of like atmospheric guitar sounds today, and I'm kind of grateful for that. I really like the way you do your lyrics. I think you tell a really nice story. I think, yeah, I just really like all your lyrics in this song. I think it works really well. You tell a good story, and it's just cool. It just sounds good. I do think the song, as Lenny said, could evolve a little more, like when it kicks in for the second time, bring in the full band or whatever. And I think you should probably utilise like the atmospheric guitar. I think it was like the lead section that was going off a bit towards the start of the song that you didn't really utilise throughout the rest of the song. But yeah, other than that, pretty good as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, really good track. I will listen to your entire EP because I'm interested in what your full band sound is like.
This next song is The Extrangers with I Just Gotta Do It.
I know it seems wrong, but I have to do this because it is right for me. Because it is right for me.
Okay, so first of all, I want to say that I'm not a fan of the name of the song. I just think you could come up with a better name than that. I think it's a bit cheesy, a bit cliche. It sounds like something that someone would say in like a really cheesy 80s film or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it feels like it's one of those lines that is so vague that it doesn't really mean anything, and if you wanted something that said I've just got to do it, there are so much more cleverer ways of saying that without just saying that as a sentence.
Yeah. That being said, I actually quite like the song. It had a nice little indie riff. It was chirpy, it was happy, it was upbeat, it was pretty nice. I thought there was like a distorted riff that you put in like halfway through that was a bit sloppy. It felt like it went out of time a little bit at times, but it wasn't major, it wasn't overly noticeable, it was probably just me being picky. You had a lot of different sections in this song, and I think there's a pro and a con towards that. I think the good thing about it is that it's interesting. You've got a lot of different sections. It's like, oh, this isn't flowing like a normal song. Oh, yeah, interesting. But on the other side of the coin, it's not really cohesive. It's hard to tell where you are in the song when you're just listening to it. Like when you're listening to it, you don't really know when you've got halfway or when you're like nearing the end. Nothing really feels like your chorus or the end of the song. It just kind of goes through all these different sections and then finishes. That was a little strange, but if that's what you're going for, then fair enough.
At one point in the track, you use thirds on guitars. I presume it's thirds, it could be fifths. I think it's thirds. Not a fan of it. I said that earlier. I just think it sounds a little bit Iron Maiden, and anything that reminds me of Iron Maiden, I'm repulsed.
You don't like Iron Maiden?
OMG. I think it's bang in the middle of the song. You do a thing where you bring in one guitar, and then you bring in another guitar, and then you bring in like bass, and then you bring in drums, and then you bring in another guitar. I think it's in that order, or it's something similar. I don't like that section. I don't feel as though it serves a purpose as much as other bands that do that kind of section kind of make it feel like. A lot of the time you'd do like verse, chorus, and then blam out as if it's like, oh, it might be the end of the song, and then like one riff comes in, and then like it gradually builds up to like a big climactic thing. I don't feel as though you really captured that. It just felt like, oh, it's now just one thing. Oh, it's now two things. Oh, it's now three things. And that section didn't overly serve a purpose like I think it could have done. I like the weird little stop that you did. There was one bit where you just stopped the entire song and just said some words, and then it carried on going. I think that would have worked a little bit better if the thing that kept going wasn't just like, I think it's just bass and drums that just comes in rather than it being like the full band again. I think it would have been better if you'd have done full band, stop, say the words, and then come back in with full band to
like
really impact.
like what a dubstep drop would do.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, that kind of thing.
He just says the words, which is also happens to be the title of the song, and then it comes in really heavy.
Yeah, I mean, it works as is, so much so that I've written down that I like that section, but I would have impacted a little bit more when it came back in. The last artist today is Village Park, and their song Play Pretend.
It all starts when you're playing your cards. You're betting your part. It's fun to play pretend. Waiting for days to complicate. Maybe you can relate. It's hard to comprehend. Try to tell you. Try to tell you. Try to tell you.
First thing that I want to say is Village Park is so hard to search. I tried, Joe, I believe, said something along the lines of, how many members is it, or how old are they, or something like that, and I was like, I'll search them. So I typed you in on Facebook. You might not have Facebook, but 1,000,001 things came up for Village Park, because
There are a lot of parks in villages around the world.
Yeah, and yeah, so not ideal for search engines is your name. Right, you fucking Yoda. The oohs in the chorus, I think, make the track what it is. I think if you took the oohs out of the chorus, I'd be like, yeah, it's an alright track. But like, just those oohs just make everything just like, make the song worth it, I think. I don't know, I just really dig the oohs, and I think that they are the cornerstone of this track. I don't know, I just dig them. Well, when I wrote this down earlier, I was like, oh, I feel as though the bridge didn't really go anywhere. And then Joe was like, there was a bridge. So I guess that's kind of testament to the fact that the bridge could have been a bit more something different, something that takes a different journey than the rest of the track did.
I kind of like that song, you know. I kind of like the whole 80s synth thing that he had going on at the start of the song. Really like that. Again, echoing Lenny, I really like the ooh bit in the chorus. I thought that kind of made the song. It made it sound really nice and airy. I think that song was. It was very, yeah, had a lot of space to it. I think the chorus was a bit repetitive because of the lyrics that he used. Like, it was the same line about 4 times throughout the chorus with only like some extra bit on the end. I think you could probably change that to make it a little bit better, but yeah, it's a pretty decent chorus apart from that. The melody was really good. The only other problem I have with the song is that it ends a bit abruptly. Like, with the kind of song that it is, I was kind of expecting a bit of a, not a fade out, but it was like it ends and then we have a bit of something. Yeah, on the end, as opposed to it just ending and like stopping. It felt like you just cut it in like Pro Tools or whatever. But yeah, it was a pretty good song. I liked it.
Right, so that was a big episode of the reviews.
Are we done?
Yeah. Thank you very much to everyone who sent us some songs. If you do want to send us a song for this series, email this email with either a link where I can get it. Ideally, a download link would be better than a streaming link, so I don't have to actually pirate your music. Also, in the subject line of your email, put the reviews or Music Lab reviews.
And
or
name
anything.
your song after what it is.
Yeah, name your song, please. Also, it's worth saying, you don't have to do this because certain websites won't let you do it. But if you could put your band name in the title of the file as well, that'd be great, because a lot of people send song names across. Because it's their song, they don't feel like they need to put their name in it, so you will just put the title of your song. That's all well and good, but when we're trying to read out your song name and then your artist name, if we don't know your artist name, I have to like dig it out and stuff, and it's just easier just to name your file, artist name, song name, job done. Cool. If you want to see more episodes from this series, there are 11 other episodes in this series. Click on my side of the screen, and if you want to see our best of playlist where we just talk about how to become a better band and tips and all that kind of stuff for music, head over to just side of the screen and click on his face. Sorry that we're not doing Wednesday videos. I'm on holiday at the moment. These are filmed in advance, which is why we're not doing Wednesday videos at the moment. See you next Saturday.